Welcome back to another video, and today we got episode 7 of MLB All Around, where we're going to be looking at every single team in the MLB competing for the playoffs. At this point, it's a crazy playoff race. We got the Guardians finally overtaking the Tigers. The Tigers have now blown a 14-game lead. They were ahead at one point in July. They were up 14 games. If this holds, it would be the biggest collapse in MLB history. So, with the way the Tigers are playing, I wouldn't be surprised if it does hold. We're going to talk about all the scenarios, all the division leaders, all of what I think is going to happen, my predictions, all of the wild card races, all that fun stuff. And then obviously we're going to look at the playoff picture right now and make our predictions at the end. So subscribe if you're new. Turn on the noties to make sure you don't miss whenever we upload. It's the best time of the year. The playoffs are starting in just a few days for the MLB. We're in the middle of the college football and NFL seasons. We're posting those videos every week. And then college basketball and NBA videos are right around the corner as well. So subscribe, turn on the noties. But let's go ahead and look at the American League standings right now. So just a little key for you guys. Green means they clinched their division, so the Mariners have clinched their division. Red, pretty self-explanatory, means they've been eliminated. Yellow means they've clinched the playoffs, but not quite the division yet. So yeah, let's start out in the AL Central because I feel like that's the exciting thing, right? The Guardians take control of the division, a whole game ahead. The Tigers have now lost 8 games in a row. They just finished a series with each other. They're now playing another series with each other. That is the Guardians and the Tigers. I mean, it really is just sad. The Tigers at one point for a couple months were like the best team in baseball record-wise, and it really is sad how fall they've had because really ever since the All-Star break they just haven't been the same team. They go out, get swept 3 games by the Guardians a couple days ago, then get swept 3 games by the Braves, a team that's not even in the playoff picture, and so far they've lost the 2 games they played with the Guardians as well. They got one more game today, so we'll see if they can win it. Honestly, I'm not sure who has the tiebreaker here. It actually might be the Guardians, but don't quote me on that. But, man, the Tigers, what a fall. They not only do they have to play one more game against the Guardians, they have a series against the Red Sox coming up. That's not very exciting if I'm a Tigers fan. The Red Sox are a team needing wins as well. They're not, clinched into the playoffs just yet, so really tough schedule moving forward for the Tigers. I honestly wouldn't be shocked if the Astros jump the Tigers and the Tigers miss the playoffs entirely. If that might be crazy to say, but you look at how they're playing right now. I think they've lost 8 games in a row. They've lost 10 of their last 11 at least. It might be more than that. The Tigers have just not been good recently, plain and simple. The Guardians have, though. The Guardians are getting hot at the perfect time. If there's any time to get hot, it is going to be right before you enter the playoffs, and that makes me scared for some of these other teams. The Guardians are 9-1 in their last 10 games. That is insane, and they've been beating good teams. Like I said, they just swept the Tigers, and they're looking to do it again today. We'll see what happens, obviously, with that game. Let's move over to the AL East, because I feel like that's the next most interesting thing. The Blue Jays and the Yankees sit atop this division, both at 90 wins. The Blue Jays do have the tiebreaker here, so it's essentially a 1-game lead if you want to think about it that way. I believe there's 4 games left for both of these teams, so it is going to be interesting. The Yankees have been playing really well as of late. They've won 7 of their last 8 games. They haven't been playing the greatest teams. They played the Twins, the Orioles, the White Sox, and then they finished with the Orioles. The Yankees have had a very favorable schedule to finish out the season, which I think is good. Obviously you would want that if you're trying to get back up on the top and win this division. The Blue Jays have been kind of dealing with some injuries. They've also lost 6 of their last 7 games. They also have lost 2 of the 3 with the Red Sox so far. The last game of the series is right now. The Red Sox, if they win that game, the Yankees will likely be in first in this division. They were first yesterday, I looked. The Blue Jays are back on top. We'll see what happens with that game against Boston. Obviously, Boston is needing wins. They're not guaranteed a spot whatsoever. And then the AL West, the Mariners are 5 games ahead of the Astros. They have the division wrapped up. Cal Raleigh just hit 60 home runs. He might win MVP. I don't know. It's him or Aaron Judge. I wouldn't be surprised if Cal Raleigh does win it. I think Judge probably deserves it more just because he's hitting like 320 with 50 home runs. But 60 home runs from a switch-hitting catcher is kind of unheard of. So, either way, it's going to make some people upset. We'll see what the voters ultimately end up picking. But yeah, the Mariners have been really good as of recently. They've won 6 in a row. They're 9-1 in their last 10. The Rangers were a new team that got eliminated since last time. They just kind of fell apart at the end of the season. It's as simple as that. They're 1-9 in their last 10 games. They just have not been able to get a win. They did make a little push there for made it a little exciting, but yeah, they have been eliminated officially. But yeah, that's kind of a look at the AL. The Astros, we'll talk about the Astros. As of right now, they are on the outside looking in. They're only a game back of the Tigers, but you look at the Astros, they did lose 2 against the A's, which really does hurt them. They have not been good recently either. They just got swept by the Mariners. They're currently on a 5-game losing streak. It's looking like that's going to change. They're up 9-1 right now against the A's, so that should be a win. And their last series is against the Angels. If they can sweep the Angels, they probably get in. The Tigers, like I said, playing the Guardians today, and then the Red Sox 3 games. That's a tough schedule for the Tigers. I think the Astros might be able to jump the Tigers and end up getting in, but both the Astros and the Tigers have both been playing pretty poorly as of right now. Let's move over to the NL. The NL is, maybe not as chaotic in terms of like division winners, but in terms of wild card, the NL is much more exciting. We could just go through the top. The Phillies have had the division clinch for it feels like 2 weeks now. It's been a while. The Phillies, I also saw have clinched, a spot in the top 2 seeds. So the Brewers and the Phillies will get some nice rest. We know that those 2 teams are going to be the top 2 here in the NL. The Dodgers at the 3 seed, they're still trying to wrap up the division. They got a 2.5 game lead. It's looking pretty promising. They beat the Diamondbacks in extra innings last night, 5-4. They're up 8-0 right now against the Diamondbacks. They closed out with the series against the Mariners. That's kind of tough. I feel like the Dodgers will be able to win, though. The Mariners aren't really playing for all that much. They have their division wrapped up. They're pretty close. I think if they maybe win 1 or maybe 2, it might be 2. 1 or 2 games for the Mariners, and they'll probably have a top 2 seed in the AL wrapped up. So the Dodgers just trying to close out the division. We'll see if they can. The Padres right there, 2.5 games back. We'll see if they can end up making some magic happen. They did just win 2 of 3 against the Brewers. I know the Brewers aren't really playing for anything anymore. They closed with the Diamondbacks, and the Diamondbacks are a team we got to talk about because they're trying to sneak in. As of right now, they are 1 game back of the Mets, so they're right there, along with the Reds. We'll talk about the Reds shortly. The Diamondbacks have won 4 of their last 5, and 2 of those were against the Phillies, 2 of those were against the Dodgers. They've won 3 of their last 5. But yeah, they've had a really hard close to the season, and winning the series against the Phillies. They did lose the series against the Dodgers 2-1. If they can win 2 of these 3 against the Padres, they might be able to jump the Mets. We'll talk about the Mets here. Let's look at their remaining games. The Mets are playing the Cubs right now. I know that. They just lost 10-3 last night, but they did win before that. They have the Cubs, and then they have the Marlins. The Marlins are a team that are trying to make some magic happen. As of right now, they're the farthest team out. They are 4 games back. It's crazy that there's still 6 teams in contention for this last wild card spot in the NL. We'll talk about the Marlins, I guess. We're just kind of leading one into another. The Marlins just came off a loss against the Phillies last night, 11-1. I think the Phillies hit 8 home runs, which was a franchise record. It's great. The Phillies are so good. The Marlins, though, before this loss to the Phillies, they had won 7 games in a row. They were cruising. They're getting hot. They closed with the Mets, and they could really give the Mets some problems. It's in Miami as well. The Marlins have been playing pretty solid. I don't know how, honestly. I thought the Marlins would be absolutely nothing this year. So I guess shout out to them. But, I mean, it is crazy what the Marlins have been able to do here in the second half of the season. They've been so hot. ever since the All-Star break. We'll see if they can sweep the Mets. Actually, they're gonna have to beat the Phillies tonight, which might be a little tough. But again, the Phillies aren't playing for anything anymore, so they might be able to do it. If they beat the Phillies tonight and then sweep the Mets, there's a chance you're looking at the Miami Marlins in the playoffs. They have to win out. They're 4 games back. There's only 4 games left, so they have to win all 4. They have to have some things go their way. So it's a bit of a long shot, but I think honestly, it's not that crazy. The fact that they get the Mets for those 3 games kind of controls their own destiny. We talked about the Diamondbacks. I guess we can talk about the Cubs. We haven't talked about them yet. Last week, I said they were getting hot. PCA looks like he's back, and then they kind of fell back down to earth a little bit. They still look pretty solid, though. It's unfortunate Matthew Boyd just sucks now. Cade Orton also got injured, so I'm really worried about that for the Cubs. They also just got swept by the Reds. I mean, it's a little rough. The Cubs had a big enough lead, and the Padres didn't win enough when they were losing all those games to really make that much of a dent. But the Padres are still 2.5 back of the Cubs for that top wild card spot. I think the Cubs should be able to hold on. They have one more game against the Mets tonight, and then they finish a 3-game series with the Cardinals, who we'll talk about the Cardinals here. Right now, they were in a crucial series with the Giants, and they won 2 out of 3. The Giants got eliminated because of that. The Cardinals, also kind of like the Marlins, just a little bit easier. They're going to have to win out, I'm assuming. They're 3.5 games back. It's looking a little rough. The Giants got eliminated with the same record. I guess the Cardinals just have the tiebreaker or something. But yeah, they're going to have to win out. They're going to have some things go their way. And unfortunately, they have to finish with a 3-game series against the Cubs, who are still trying to lock up that home field advantage there in the wild card series against the Padres. So we'll see if the Cardinals can do it. Let's take a look at the Reds. They're the last team we haven't talked about. The Reds, huge series win against the Cubs. They win all 4. They sweep the Cubs, but then they go out and lose 2 out of 3 against the Pirates. You know, that's pretty rough. When you're trying to make a playoff push, I know one of them was against Paul Skeens, and they almost won. It was in extra innings. By the way, we'll talk about Paul Skeens. He's going to win Cy Young in the NL. It's ridiculous. He has a sub-2 ERA. That's the only bright spot for the Pirates, unfortunately. That's a bit of an exaggeration, but you get what I'm saying. I mean, they have some guys. O'Neal Cruz is pretty good. But the Reds lose, like I said, 2 out of 3 against the Pirates. Now they have a 3-game series on the road against the Brewers. I'm not sure how many guys will be playing for the Brewers, if they'll be playing all their starters, because the Brewers, I guess they don't have the 1 seed wrapped up yet. They're still 2.5 games, so you know they're gonna need to win like one of these against the Reds. So let's play this out. If the Reds win 2 out of these 3, they're gonna be at 83 wins. The Mets are playing the Marlins. I wouldn't be surprised if the Mets lose that series. They also play the Cubs. The Mets still have 4 games left. So if the Mets lose tonight, they're going to be the same record as the Reds. They're going to have to win 2 out of 3 to get in. Actually, the Reds might have the tiebreaker, so the Mets might need. I'm assuming the Cubs win tonight just because they're favored. Just playing this out in my head. So if the Cubs were to beat the Mets tonight, then they would have the same exact record as the Reds. I think the Reds would get in at that point, unless I'm wrong. I'm assuming the Reds win 2 out of 3 against the Brewers. Maybe that's a little bold. I just think the Brewers might try to win 1 just so they get the 1 seed locked up, and then they call it quits. The Reds are playing for something. I think the Reds could very, very realistically win 2 out of 3, 2 of 3 against the Brewers. So that would force the Mets to go on the road against the Marlins, a team who needs to win out and win 2 out of 3. Now they very well could do it. Juan Soto's looking really good. He's hitting a lot of home runs, I feel like, in recent days. The Mets could definitely do that. I think they're definitely a better team than the Marlins. But I don't know. The Mets have been kind of shaky. 5-5 in their last 10. They've kind of been shaky all year. And how did the Diamondbacks play into all this? I forgot how they even play. They play the Padres on the road. That is tough. The Padres are still competing for the division. They're still trying to get the 4 seed as well, so they're competing for a lot. They're also losing 8-0 to the Dodgers right now, so the Diamondbacks are going to be a full game behind the Reds and 1.5 games behind the Mets. So I don't know if the Diamondbacks are going to be able to get in. I think it's probably just between the Mets and the Reds, but you never know. Maybe the Diamondbacks go in to San Diego and win 2 of 3, and then we have a real conversation. But yeah, I think this race is probably just between the Mets and the Reds. I'm going to be honest, I don't think, I don't think the Cardinals can get in against the Cubs. I don't know if the Marlins are going to have all of the exact scenarios they need break their way. Also, wait, this doesn't seem right. The Giants were eliminated, but the Marlins are still in. I don't know what that's about, but that's what I'm seeing. So something's not right there. The Giants have a better record than the Marlins, yet they're eliminated. I'm not sure how that works. Maybe it's just because the Marlins have 4 games. Yeah, it's got to be something to do with tiebreakers. I don't know, but you get what I'm saying. I think it's just between the Reds and the Mets, to be honest. But let's look at the playoff picture. As of right now, like I said, Guardians, man, they get the 3 seed now over the Tigers. Man, the NL, I feel like it's just always the same. The AL is always constantly moving. The Yankees were the 1 seed yesterday, by the way, so the Yankees could definitely end up as the 1 seed as well. They're tied with the Blue Jays for the best record in the AL, so we'll see what happens there. That's obviously very huge. But let's start at the top. Guardians, Tigers, pretty easy. I'm taking the Guardians. The Tigers just can't win right now. We've seen the series twice now, and it looks like the Guardians are going to sweep them both times. There's no way I can ignore that. The Tigers have lost 8 in a row. The Guardians are 9-1 in their last 10. It seems too good to be true. I'm going to take the Guardians here without any hesitation. The Yankees-Red Sox, could you imagine this as a playoff series? Probably the biggest rivalry in baseball. Going head-to-head in the Wild Card Series, this would be so fun. The Red Sox have been taking down the Blue Jays, which has been helping out the Yankees a lot, so a little bit of help there. We'll see if this ends up as the Yankees or the Blue Jays. I'm interested to see who ends up getting that 1 seed and who ends up getting the 4 seed. With that being said, I think the Yankees are the much better team here. They've been hot recently as well. They're on a 4-game win streak. They've been looking really good. I think they have the most runs scored, I want to say, in baseball. Yeah, and it's by a lot. The offense looks legit. They have Max Fried over there. A bunch of other guys as well. The Yankees look like maybe, I know they're the 4 seed, but the Yankees look like maybe the safest team that I would pick to make the World Series in the AL. So I'm going to take them over to the Red Sox. I trust them a lot more. And they made it last year as well. Dodgers, Mets. I'm not loving the Dodgers. Coming into the season, everyone was saying, oh, the Dodgers, they're too good. They have all the money on their roster. They have all this and that. They're the 3 seed in the NL. They have the same record as the Cubs. They have the same record as the Mariners. Neither of those teams have. I mean, the Cubs have a good amount, but the Mariners especially don't have as much money as the Dodgers to go out and pay their players. The Cubs don't either, to be fair. But the Dodgers sitting at the 3 seed. I'm going to take them over the Mets. The Mets don't look all that great. The Dodgers have an 8-game, advantage over the Mets as well. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Dodgers. They're really good at home as well. The Mets not great on the road. The Dodgers are still one of the best teams in the league, and when they get to the playoffs, I'm assuming a lot of those guys can step up. They have so many starting pitchers as well, where I feel like the bullpen worries. They can just put some of those starters in the bullpen. That's what they did last night. They put Kershaw in there. They put Roki Sasaki in there in the bullpen. So, I think the Dodgers are going to be okay, to be honest. They have so many names as well. Like, so many of those guys can just make a huge play. The Mets do too, to be fair, but I like the Dodgers overall better, a little bit more. Cubs, Padres. Now, last week, I took the Cubs to the NLCS. I was buying in. I thought they were back. And then they went out and got swept by the Reds. we'll see who wins this series against the Mets. They have split the first 2 games, so we'll see what happens tonight. Not sure who's starting for both sides. It looks like Shota Imanaga is starting for the Cubs, which is kind of a good sign, so we'll see. The Mets are actually favored, though. It is kind of a 50-50 game, though. With that being said, I'm going to take the Padres. I'm going to switch it up. I feel like I've taken a lot of both here. I've taken the Cubs most recently, but I feel like I've taken the Padres more. To be honest, I just trust the Padres more. Maybe it's just because the Cubs are my favorite team, and I'm trying to like reverse jinx them, I guess, or something. I don't know. I don't know if I believe in this Cubs team, to be fair. Their bullpen still concerns me. The starting pitching still is a bit of a problem, especially with Matthew Boyd being not so great. Cade Orton has been good, but he just got injured, I think. So Shota Imanaga's solid, yes, but I don't know. This Padres bullpen is probably the best in baseball. They got Ranger Suarez. They got Mason Miller. What else can you ask for? I mean, they have so many other guys as well. And they have those names, Tatis, Machado, Jackson Merrill's amazing. I mean, just so many guys over there. Luis Arraez, the Padres are a scary team in the playoffs if they get hot as well. So I'm going to take the Padres over the Cubs, but I think it could go either way. Guardians, Mariners, 2 of the hottest teams in baseball. Maybe the 2 hottest teams in baseball. These 2 teams have been on an absolute tear. I'm going to go with the Mariners, though. I'm going to buy into Cal Raleigh and this Mariners team. The past couple seasons, it's been all pitching, all defense for the Mariners. The offense has not been good. Well, now you got a guy hitting 60 home runs. You brought in Eugenio Suarez to come in, and he's hit some crazy amount as well. I'm trying to find the number here if I can find it. Yeah, it's not telling me, but besides the point, I think he has 40 plus. I want to say, maybe even a little more than that. So, yeah, this This Mariners offense looks legit. The defense, the pitching as well looks really solid. This Mariners team just looks all around like a really solid team, and they're 9-1 in their last 10 games. They're so hot. I took the Mariners to the World Series last week. I'm very high on the Mariners this season. Yankees, Blue Jays, man. The 2 teams tied for the top of the AL East. We'll see what happens. We'll see who ends up getting the bye. I wouldn't be shocked, honestly, if the team who ends up in the wild card ends up winning, just because they get that momentum. Obviously, you don't want to play the Red Sox, who are a very good team. I think if the Blue Jays end up as the 4 seed and get the Red Sox could very well win that series. The Red Sox have won the first 2 games of their series against the Blue Jays on the road. So, that could be a sign of something. I'm going to take the Yankees. I think they get the win over the Red Sox. They get some momentum coming in, and I just trust them more than the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays are kind of banged up right now as well. I think they're going to be healthy for the playoffs, but that is definitely something to monitor. Over on the NL side, Phillies, Dodgers. I'm going to take the Phillies. I just think they're overall better, man. Christopher Sanchez looks like an absolute... he's ridiculous. Over there pitching. If they had Zach Wheeler, man, I just feel so much safer. I feel like I say that every time, but it is the truth. Kyle Schwarber's trying to get to 60 home runs. I don't think he will, but he's right there, man. He's got 56. Love me some Kyle Schwarber. He's been absolutely amazing. Trey Turner might potentially win the batting title. We'll see what happens. He has been out, though. We'll see. And you still got all the other guys: Bryce Harper, Bryson Stott, JT Realmuto, Nick Castellanos, Alec Boehm. Just so many guys on this team, and that's not even accounting for the bullpen, which is very good. The starting pitching. Again, no Zach Wheeler, but I'm still going to take him over the Dodgers. The Dodgers, I know I said they could put some starters in the bullpen, but it still is a concern, that bullpen. And I think the Phillies have what it takes to win in the playoffs. I think we've seen it before with this core. They made it to the World Series as a 6 seed before. I think they're going to get some rest. I think they're going to figure it out. This is a tough matchup, though, getting the Dodgers. Padres, Brewers. Honestly, I know the Brewers have been the best team in baseball since, July, since August, where they went on that crazy tear. I'm taking the Padres. I don't think the Brewers are winning a series. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the Brewers go out and win the World Series, and I just look like an idiot. They've been the best team all year, and I'm sitting here saying, oh, the Brewers aren't going to win a playoff series. I want to see it before I believe it. The Brewers always let down in the playoffs. Maybe that's just because they don't have the guys to step up. They don't have the names. I know it's kind of cliche, but, you look at the roster on paper, they shouldn't be this good. And that's a testament to their coaching, their staff, all that. But in the playoffs, I'm going to trust this Padres team more. I think they have the best bullpen in baseball. Now, the Brewers have very good pitching as well. Freddie Peralta has been ridiculous all season. Their bullpen as well is really solid, and they have so many guys who just get hits. It's that simple. But the Padres feel like they have the pop, they have the power, they have the bullpen, which is huge in the playoffs. I'm going to take the Padres to the NLCS. They bought at the deadline for a reason. I'm going to take them here. Mariners, Yankees. This is a fun one, man. Cal Raleigh versus Aaron Judge, the two titans of the AL here, trying to both make their case for who's going to win MVP. If we got this in the LCS, I'd be thrilled. Honestly, I have no idea who the voters are going to pick here. Like I said, I'd pick Judge, but I wouldn't be. I think the voters might actually end up giving it to Cal Raleigh. So we'll see. I'm going to take the Yankees, though. I do think the Yankees have what it takes. I think they're the team I can trust the most. I know the Mariners have been so hot as of recently, but there's a reason the Yankees are tied for the best record in the AL right now. They have 90 wins. I know the Mariners have 89. They'll probably get to 90. But the Yankees have the most runs scored all season. That says a lot. They have so many guys who can just hammer balls, and I think they can step up in October. They made it to the World Series last year. Maybe they're not as good. Maybe they're just as good as last year. You can say what you want. I'm going to take them to get there again, though. I think they've been figuring it out as of recently. I've really liked what I've seen from the Yankees. They're 7-3 in their last 10. They've been playing pretty good as of recent. So, with that being said, I'm going to take the Yankees. They also have the second highest run differential in the league besides the Brewers. So, I'm going to trust that. I'm going to take the Yankees to get it done over the Mariners. Phillies, Padres. We get this NLCS a lot. We get Phillies, Padres. We got Phillies, Cubs last week. I think I have had the Brewers here before. No matter who the team is, though, I always end up taking the Phillies, and I'm going to stick with it, man. I'm going to stick with my gut. I've been saying this for the past couple months. I think the Phillies, if there's any year for them to win it, it is going to be this year. Again, I know they're without Zach Wheeler, and man, I can't stress this enough. If he was there, I'd feel so good about picking the Phillies to win the World Series. I'd feel so good about it. Without him, it is a little shaky, but I still trust what they've got going on there. Christopher Sanchez has been all you can ask for. Jesus Luzardo has been so good. Ranger Suarez, 3.1 ERA. That is really, really solid. And the bullpen, just really, really good, man. Yohan Duran comes in. He's been, they finally have a true closer. That helps them so much. One of the best bullpens. Two of arguably, maybe this is the top two bullpens in baseball. I don't think that's crazy to say. I know the Mets have a pretty solid one. I know some other teams do as well. But the Phillies and Padres are definitely, up there. I'm going to take the Phillies, though. I think you look at this team, they hit 8 home runs last night. I'm not basing everything off that, but that's a sign, man. I don't know, they're looking really good, man. And then we got a World Series matchup of the Phillies and the Yankees. Could you imagine Philly fans versus the Yankees fans in the World Series? What an environment every single game would be here. With that being said, though, I'm going to stick with my pick. I picked the Phillies the past, maybe every episode. No, not every episode, but pretty much every episode. I feel like the Phillies window is this season, man. I think once we get past this season, I'm not sure if the Phillies will have a chance to do this again. I think this year is as wide open as ever. The NL is very tough. I think the World Series champ will come out of the NL this season, just like the Dodgers won it last year. I really do, though. I think the NL is better than the AL. I think whoever wins the NL is going to win the World Series, and I have the Phillies winning. I think the Phillies bullpen is much more reliable than the Yankees. I know the Yankees have a solid one. At least I believe, unless I'm mistaken. I think the Phillies' rotation is more reliable. The lineups are comparable, but honestly, I might go give the edge to the Phillies as well. I know the Yankees have Aaron Judge, but the Phillies got some guys. Trey Turner's might, be the hitting, king, the batting king, whatever you want to call it. Kyle Schwarber is at 56 home runs. You still got Bryce Harper. So many guys that look to elevate their game in the playoffs. I know you could say the same with the Yankees, but man, I really believe in this Phillies team. I think they get it done. They're probably going to be my pick. I don't want to spoil anything for my MLB playoff predictions, which we're going to have Monday, by the way, so stay tuned for that. I don't know if we're going to have one more episode of this. We'll see what happens. We'll see how busy I am. Maybe we can get one on Saturday night, something like that, or Sunday morning. I'm not sure. Maybe Saturday morning. Just, an update around the league. But that is going to do it for episode 7. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you get on there, leave a like, comment down below what your thoughts are on this MLB playoff race. And who's your World Series pick as of right now? I'd love to discuss down there. But yeah, subscribe, man. We got college football videos every Tuesday, NFL every Wednesday, MLB videos every week. What else? College basketball, NBA. When those seasons start, we do those videos every week as well. So if there's any time to subscribe, it is going to be right now. I appreciate the support on the most recent videos. Shout out to you guys. But yeah, stay tuned. We might, not confirming, we might have another episode of this on Saturday or Sunday, something like that. But if not, I'll see you guys on Monday with our MLB playoff predictions. Stay tuned for that one.